All right, thank you. And thank y'all, first of all, to the wonderful people of St. Mary Parish. I tell you that I was officially sworn in as district attorney last Wednesday, and without a doubt, it's because of St. Mary Parish. It started here. Your commitment and your support will never be forgotten. So I'm going to go through and kind of give y'all just a rundown of different things that we do at the district attorney's office, some things you may or may not know, some statistics, and then if you'll have any questions, feel free to ask, except Sam. So we have over 108 employees. I say over 108 because we have two positions that we're looking to fill right now, and 26 assistant district attorneys, 14 of which prosecute misdemeanors and felonies. We have about 3 spots that I'm looking to fill at this time. It's comprised of 3 parishes: St. Martin, Iberia, and saving the best for last, St. Mary. We have offices in all 3 parishes. I am looking towards moving back to having a satellite office in Morgan City, as well as a satellite office in Brobridge to service the far ends of the district. So there you go. You can kind of get an idea of how big it is from St. Martin, Iberia, and St. Mary. And it's about an hour and 40-minute trip from Arterville, the very top of St. Martin, to Amelia at the bottom of St. Mary. And actually, the shortest route time-wise is going through Lafayette. But that's how big our district is. Okay, so what do? We prosecute crimes, of course. As far as drug court, we prosecute drug court cases and we run their probation. We run misdemeanor probation, so those that are convicted of felony convictions and receive probation are supervised by probation and parole. However, we supervise misdemeanor probation offenses. We provide support to victims. We have 2 victims assistance coordinators in each parish. And I'll tell you that Ms. Cataline Terrio, she is our VAC in Iberia Parish, and she is an inductee into the Louisiana Criminal Justice Hall of Fame. So we're very blessed to have her. We also have juvenile court, which is comprised of child in need of care cases and family in need of services cases, as well as child support enforcement. What many may not know is that the largest division that we actually have is our Family Services Division that provides early intervention programs for children, truancy, our truancy assessment center, assessment task, how about that? JASC and FINS. Additionally, we represent 50 boards in all 3 parishes. We have, so St. Martin Parishes hires their private counsel, but Iberia and St. Mary utilize 4 of our attorneys to serve as advisories to over, well, I don't know how many boards just in St. Martin, St. Mary and Iberia, but for all 3 is 50 in total. So, the main power and duty, as people think, of the district attorney, the DA has entire charge and control of every criminal prosecution instituted or pending in his district and determines who, when, and how he shall prosecute. Felonies are punishable by hard labor. Misdemeanors are those that are not punishable by more than 6 months, but in layman's terms, misdemeanors are those crimes that are punishable by parish jail. So what do? Our office, we provide education and assistance and support to local law enforcement. That's anywhere from um, having just a quarterly classes where the different law enforcement come in and we teach them new legislation. We talk about stops, searches, seizures, things of that nature. But also during a case, they might ask us a question having to do with an ongoing investigation about there's been a stop that's made. Is this search legal? Or we have a situation where we have an 18-year-old who may be have on the spectrum as far as a slight. We don't know how autistic this kid may or may not be. Do we need to have the 18-year-old who's not a juvenile, but do we need to have his guardian present? Things like that kind of come up in all kind of cases, and we're there. We're a phone call away to provide assistance to those agencies. The screening process. So, just to give you a little background on how a case goes from an arrest to actual prosecution in the courtroom. So, there's an arrest that's made. The person maybe is booked or given a summons. At some point in time, the case file is delivered to our office. This would include narratives, written statements. It'll also include things such as forms showing that different types of evidence were turned over to the crime lab, body cameras, maybe some ring cameras. So that's all turned over to our office. And then on a case-by-case basis, we go through it all, and we ask a number of questions. One, is there enough evidence here to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this crime was committed? If so, then we're in a position where we can file a bill of information. For the attorneys out there, a bill of information, I analogize it to filing a petition, but in criminal court. So once we file a bill of information, we're saying that there's enough evidence here that we can proceed with this criminal case against this defendant. We may also screen the case and look at it and say, I need some more evidence. And we'll contact that law enforcement agency and say, you need to provide me with A, B, and C. If so, then there's enough to pursue these charges. If not, then the time delays are going to run, and I'm not going to be able to pursue it. Some other possibilities, or we may get the case file in and say, okay, well, this person was charged with a simple battery, and the facts suggest that this glass was used to strike someone upon the head, and we may raise that and file charges for aggravated battery instead of simple battery. Vice versa, we might get a case in where we believe that individual was overcharged, maybe with a felony. It might be that the cup was actually a solo cup. True story. And he was arrested for an aggravated battery, and it was an empty solo cup, and I just didn't see the dangerous weapon there, so I filed a bill of information for a simple battery. We may dismiss the case. We might refuse the charges, saying that, no, it just doesn't fit. I don't see the crime. We might determine that this person is a good candidate for drug court. Doesn't mean necessarily that this offense was a possession of drugs offense. It may be a burglary or unauthorized entry, where you have some individual that's he's an addict and he's looking for his next score, so he's doing what he needs to do to pawn whatever so he can support his addiction. In those type cases, we'll contact the victims, let them know that this person is a candidate for drug court, and if they're on board with it, then we'll offer drug court. There's also times when we'll screen it and say, this case is, warrants pretrial diversion, okay? Pretrial diversion, whew, it's like the, the hot topic that many don't want to talk about because, in some jurisdictions, it's not handled correctly. Pretrial diversion is a great tool for the district attorney's office to be able to help those that made a stupid mistake, for lack of a better term, okay? It's usually those that are young, nonviolent, made a mistake, and we can get them into our program and teach them. They'll have consequences, but at the end of the day, they won't have a criminal record. I'll tell you that diversion, any type of pretrial diversion program, will always be stricter and have more requirements than those if somebody would just go to court and plead guilty to the same thing. So, for instance, DWI. If somebody's eligible for a DWI diversion program, we mandate interlock device for longer than what the court would. We mandate more community service hours. They have the victim impact panel. They have their driver improvement course. And we require that they're on probation with us for 18 months. That can be converted to 12 months. Those time periods are longer than if that individual had gone to court and pled guilty. The community service is more, and the requirements for the interlock device is more. So diversion is also a process. So all this goes into screening a case. We haven't gone to court yet. We just got a case on our file and say, how should we handle this? Okay, so again, file a bill, dismiss it, diversion, drug court, or saying we need some more information. Grand jury. The grand jury is another process by which we start our criminal proceedings in court. Grand juries are used for a couple reasons. One, if something is going to carry a mandatory life sentence, then it's too much power for one person to review a file and say, yeah, I'm starting this criminal case in court against this individual. We're talking about a life sentence. So the law provides that, for those serious crimes, we want a grand jury. We want multiple eyes to look at this and say, yes, there's enough evidence here to move forward. I will tell y'all that I know the saying, everybody's heard the saying about that the district attorney in a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich. Not really the smartest way, in our opinion, to go about proceeding with grand juries, okay? Contrary to popular belief. So the burden of proof for a grand jury is the same burden as a petty jury, a regular jury, right? So what we like to do is we go and we put all the cards on the table. This is all the good, this is all the bad. We show the grand jury everything, right? Because if we're going to hide something from them, well then, and they give us an indictment, well then when we get down the line in a year and we're trying this in front of a jury, and now everything comes out, the case don't look as good, right? So we use that grand jury just to show all the cards and just to get an honest assessment of where the case would stand if it would go before a jury at trial. So preparing for cases, that was just the screening process and starting it. But then when we're preparing for cases, we're working with the detectives, we're working with the crime lab, we're making sure that our whether it be a gun or casings or ballistics testing is in, DNA testing is in, make sure that that's all ready to go. Presenting the cases at trial. This day and age, it takes a lot to be able to try a case. In that, you know, the judges, I understand where they are. I think a lot of the judges are really, really concerned about cases coming back on post-conviction relief because of a defense counsel saying that they're not ready for trial, and if they have to proceed to trial, that they're going to be ineffective. So I would say 19 times out of 20, when a defense attorney moves for a continuance, is typically granted. That just makes it harder to get these cases in a posture to where they actually are tried. So we're responsible for the sentencing phase, the appellate phase, which includes post-conviction. I can tell y'all that, you know, if anybody's familiar with the Donald Leger case, I mean, that's still in the post-conviction stage. It hasn't gotten into the whole federal appellate stage yet, and I believe that case was tried by Vincent Bourne and maybe Mack? Maybe? But Vincent for sure, right? Okay, so just some numbers for y'all. In 2025, over the 3 parishes, we filed 3,736 bills of information. So that's how many cases we said in all 3 parishes that, yep, there's enough there to start the court proceedings against these individuals. 1,600 felonies, 2,100 misdemeanors. In St. Mary Parish, it was 506 felonies that we instituted prosecution and 930 misdemeanors, and that does not include traffic. Cases resolved in all 3 parishes, 3,469. About 1,400 of those are felonies, and just over 2,000 are misdemeanors. In St. Mary, we resolved 419 felonies and 1,347 misdemeanors. 2025, homicide and sex crime convictions, 67 in total across 3 parishes, 18 in Iberia, 19 in St. Martin, 30 in St. Mary. Just an interesting nuance about St. Mary Parish is the number of sex crimes that are committed over here. So of those 30, these are the types of crimes that we convicted: ag rape, indecent behavior, molestation, sexual battery, first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and manslaughter. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't include all the attempts, all the attempted murders, okay? There's probably double or as many attempted murders as there are actual murders. So pending homicides, here we go, not including attempts. In the 3 parishes, we have 114 pending homicides and rapes. In St. Mary, you'll see again 35, and of those 35, 19 are rapes, which is just unusually high. We probably don't have 10 in the other 2 parishes combined. So when I was at the crime lab last week, we were given this statistic that Louisiana is second in the nation in mortality rate due to firearm-related deaths. So in 2023, 1,261 deaths were firearm-related. We were second in 2023, only behind Mississippi. So, I will tell y'all about a little over a year and a half ago, we were having some issues with some of the police agencies with homicides and getting indictments on homicides. There was one agency in particular that was dead set on, you know, they were giving us evidence that the defendant's vehicle was in the area, his cell phone was in the area, and he was a really bad person. Okay, well, that last one isn't evidence, right? And to convict someone of a life sentence, to convince 12 out of 12 people that that individual needs to go to jail for life, it takes more than his cell phone and his vehicle were in the area. These agencies, though, were having a hard time producing more evidence than that because, quite frankly, the people in their communities were and are absolutely scared to death of retaliation, and rightfully so. 2 years ago, we had a shooting in New Iberia where a 3-year-old was in her bedroom with her 2 cousins, and they were making some type of TikTok video. I don't know, but car rolled past, and it was a misidentification. They thought that they were shooting at their op's house, but the op lived next door, where these 3 individuals lit this house up. The little girl got hit in the head. She survived, thank God, okay? But they didn't care. It wasn't nothing but just another night for them. And so, thinking about these agencies that are having a hard time with people coming forward with the whole retaliation. And look, there's no doubt in my mind that this little girl was shot out of retaliation. I said, how are we going to fix this? There has to be a solution. And like most of our greatest thoughts that come to our mind, this came to my mind in the deer stand after, hugging a tree for 4 hours at a time for, 8 hunts in a row. Thinking, you know what? They just passed a bill that made individuals convicted of being a convicted felon and carrying a firearm. Those individuals are going to have to start doing 85% of their sentence, not 35, 85. So I met with our local police agency and I said, look, you know who these bad guys are, right? Because you told me vehicle, cell phone, and he's a bad guy. You know what the bad guys are? Well, you go do your good police work, find a way to legally stop him and legally search him, his vehicle, and if he's a felon and he's in possession of a firearm, then he's going to go to jail for a long time. They got really excited about it. So what we did was I went and I hired a special gun crimes prosecutor, Miss Janet Perrodin, who had worked for years with the DA's office in Lafayette. She retired. I reached out to her. I said, come be my special gun crimes prosecutor for the 16th. So she goes around to the 3 parishes and she cherry picks these felons that are illegally possessing a firearm and she prosecutes them. And the standing plea offer for these individuals is they can plead guilty as charged and take 15 years, or they can plead guilty as charged, open-ended, and let the judge decide. I can tell y'all, we have thus far, so we had 68 convictions last year in the 16th. 41 in Iberia, 7 in St. Martin because she hasn't gone to St. Martin yet, and 20 in St. Mary. Typically, the judges, when they're sentencing open-ended, give these individuals about 12 years. We have had one guy that had 2 of these charges pending, and we slammed him for 20. So he's going to be doing 17 years. 17. That's not going to be reduced. 17 years. That's 85% of 20 at hard labor. Even when the judges do sentence him to something like 12 years, that's 8.5. That's about 9.5 years that individual is going to be out of our society for. Okay, so is it as good as convicting them for a murder or attempted murder? No, but I'm not getting the evidence anyway, so I'm fine with getting them out of town for 10, 15 years, and others around him seeing that example. And if they want to play, then they're up next. Again, I get our victim assistance coordinators. They do all of our coordination, obviously, with our victims. They have a tough job, but for them, it's not a job. It's a passion. Again, everybody knows Catalina Terrio. If I had 20 Catalina Terrios, my job would be so easy. Drug court, nonviolent offenders. We talked about drug court for a little bit. Pretrial diversion. We talked about pretrial diversion, and it's not a money grab. It serves, you know. The funny thing is that about in April, when I'm going to, you know, different towns across the district, the same people that would say, you gotta be tough on crime, you know, and we don't need any of this diversion foolishness. Those same people about 2 weeks later, hey Mike, I got a nephew. Could you all see if he's eligible for diversion, right? It's like everybody wants to be tough on the other guy and the other guy's kids, right? But when it comes time for you or your own, it's like, oh, how about diversion? Diversion is a great tool. Again, our requirements in diversion will always be more than if that individual had gone to court. Child support. Last year, over the 3 parishes, our child support enforcement division helped collect over $22 million in child support. $6.7 million in St. Mary Parish alone. Okay, that, and I want to give you a really quick rundown, if you don't mind, on our family services division. So we said 108 plus 26, it's about 134 employees. Excuse me. Of that, I would say that our biggest department is our family services division. This might come to us, to some of y'all as a surprise. It surprised the heck out of me. I asked Phil Haney, what's the one thing that you want to be remembered by? And I thought for sure it was going to be Mad Dog and, you know, that running interdiction on I-10 and, you know, seizing this much money, this much drugs. No. Family Services Division. If you can be remembered by one thing, it's that. He, along with Miss Claire Daly, started this division for us over 20 years ago. I'll tell you that. So, back up a little bit. I practiced as an attorney for about 10 years, and then I left 1 year to go teach and coach full-time at Catholic High. I had been coaching, but I wanted to do it full-time just because I was just, the love that I had for these kids. So I went and I taught an entire year. Great experience. A lot of people, including my mother, say that everybody needs to serve in the military, and that is true. I also think that everybody needs to teach for 1 year, okay? You'll learn a lot. So anyway, you know, this is at Catholic High, and I was noticing, y'all, I don't know if half of the kids at Catholic High went home to a mother and father in the same household, okay? So just from my teaching background and you know, the impact that I saw that I was making in children's lives, Family Service Division, it was really important to Phil, and it's important to me too, because I believe that we should give all the children of our district every opportunity to succeed and every opportunity for a second chance and to learn how to do things the right way. Because on the back end of that, if you haven't been acting the right way, and we got to send you behind upriver for a long time, I can do it with a good conscience and say, we tried, right? So our Family Services Division, just to kind of run it down for y'all real quick. the motto is to decrease delinquent behavior and other youth problems in the future by intervening with status offenders and delinquents to reduce the factors that place the youth at high risk. We have 4 main programs: early intervention, truancy. Truancy is a hot topic these days. FINS and JASC. So we have these 4 programs under the umbrella of family services. So what happens is, I'll tell y'all, just the long and the short, is that you have these risk factors, and you have some reporting that's done either by maybe law enforcement at school, but typically it's by truancy. After a kid has 5 absences that are unexcused, bing, we're supposed to be reported, and that kind of sends the alarm bells off. We go and we make sure that these kids come in and they are assessed at our office to see what's going on. What's going on at home? Are there mental issues? Are there drug issues? Where are mom and dad? So they do this intake evaluation, and then from there, so last year, between the 3 parishes, 1,631 assessments were done. That's 1,631 kids that were brought in and evaluated to see what's going on. Those assessments include juvenile assessments, behavioral assessments, violence in the household, things of that nature. Individual plans are then set up where our caseworkers set up a plan and then follow up to make sure that these children and their parents or guardians are actually adhering to the plan. Last year, 1,203 service plans were made across the 3 parishes. That's a lot of work. Our case workers, they really are case volunteers, to be honest with you. Of that, over 1,000 referrals were made to counseling, mental health services, family therapy, things of that nature. And just to give you the results from this past year, and look, at the conclusion, what happens is that if the child and the parents are successful, then it's good job, go forth and sin no more. If not, then they go to court. So this is a way to keep them out of court, have a hands-on approach, and have a successful input on their lives. So in 2024-25, JASC is one program, one of the 4. Only 5% of those were placed in OJJ. Of the ones that have been in JASC, our program since 2019, 92 hadn't reoffended in 6 months, and 91 had not reoffended in 18 months. For the FINS programs, once we got involved, 60% of the individuals didn't have 5 or didn't have more than 5 unexcused absences for the rest of the year. The unexcused discipline problems went away by 71%. And then teachers said that 98% of those that were referred to our early intervention program ceased with their behavior issues, and 88% of those stopped being tardy and started coming to school. So our Family Services Division is a huge part of what we do, and it's one of those things that you're not going to see the results today or tomorrow, but in 10 years, when your car didn't get broken into and you weren't held up at gunpoint, it's because somebody came in and got into this child's life on the front end. Any questions? Yes?
The child support numbers you showed, is that people not paying or total?
That's the ones that were not paying, but we helped collect. It's a lot. I did a double take. When I saw it, I said, no, this can't be right. And then I looked back on prior years, and it's correct. It's correct. Yes,
I know there's a shortage of facilities for juveniles. How is
yes.
that affecting our ability to house juvenile offenders in the area?
Look, I'm not a proponent of taxes, but when this ever comes up to support as far as the facility that they're looking to build that's going to service, I think, 9 parishes in our area, I mean, it's like owning your own facility as opposed to renting. And when we rent, when we have to send these juveniles to a bed, either in Terrebonne or in Lafayette, who doesn't take them usually, or Washita or Mississippi, we're paying over $400 a night. $400 a night for them to house these kids, okay? So down the road, when a proposed tax does come up, think about that, you know, because it's costing us a lot. Now, how does it affect how we prosecute crimes? I mean, you know, of course, it makes it easier whenever they're being detained. But I can tell y'all that these kids that do commit murders, we are transferring those, and we're trying those as adults. You know, whether they're housed in Terrebonne or Mississippi or Washita.
And who pays for that? Is it the department?
No, it's the local municipality. Yes.
Like, can you talk about the percentage of illegal immigrants that are prosecuted? You have that quantified?
I don't. I don't. Sorry. We prosecute blindly. We good? All right, thank y'all. Thank you.
Thank you
I
very much.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mike. That was a very informative and worthwhile presentation, Dave. One quick thing, the renewals for membership went out, and it's phenomenal how well y'all are doing coming back. Thank you very, very much. We had a great 2025, and I know we're going to have another good one in 2026. We do our best to bring in great speakers like Mike. And one final thing is I'd like to say that Nicholas State University is a partnership here in Morgan City. We've come together. We have we've got an incubator program going together. It's not, you know, we're joining together down the road, but it's a great partnership that we have with the university, and we thank them for that. And everybody have well, let me say, we do have our next speaker is Colonel Otan from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers from New Orleans, kind of a hometown person coming to speak to us. Very important to our area when it comes to dredging and everything. It's extremely, extremely important. So we need to show up for this one. And thank you very much. Have a Merry Christmas and be safe with you.